Welcome back to Healthy Living for Life. We are continuing our discussion with Dr. Charlotte Kutsch. Dr. Kutsch, I read that tanning beds are a real big cause of skin cancer, in particular melanoma, which is the serious kind. Can you tell us why tanning beds are so dangerous?
You know, the scientific evidence and the consensus of the medical community agree that tanning bed use actually increases your risk of melanoma. We have no doubt about that link anymore. And we also know that it relates to how many sessions you've had in the tanning bed, over how many years, and how often you use it. And even more importantly, we know that the younger age that you start, the even higher risk that you have for melanoma.
Okay, so speaking of age, is there an age at which people are more vulnerable to getting skin cancer from using the tanning beds?
Yes, we know that the most dangerous pattern of use is when patrons of the tanning bed start under age 35. We know that that younger skin is the most vulnerable. What we know about ultraviolet light is when the ultraviolet light hits the skin, it goes directly through the skin cells into the DNA. And the DNA of your skin cells are affected by that light, and it actually triggers a repair mechanism. Once the ultraviolet light hits, your body starts trying to repair its own DNA. And so because of this, we know that the younger ages, that DNA is even more vulnerable. And so the more times that you're using the tanning beds, it can be even more destructive to the DNA. And so that's why through the American Academy of Dermatology, we say no tan is a healthy tan.
Good advice. So what do you tell your patients in addition to that are using tanning beds?
Well, certainly I encourage them to stop, and I do encourage them, if they like to have some color on their skin, that they should use the self-tanners, so the cream self-tanners, or to get a spray tan. And we don't have any known health risks of those products. As long as they don't eat them or inhale them, they should be fine to use. And so we feel like that would be a nice alternative. And, you know, as Americans, we like to feel like we can do, it's a free country, we can do whatever we want. But again, we learned very early on that its use of tanning beds is like tobacco. I mean, it is a carcinogen and it's very, very harmful. And so we really want to encourage patients not to use it. And in fact, there are many countries, for example, in Europe, Spain, France, Germany, Austria, Belgium, and even parts of Canada and parts of Australia that have completely banned minors from using tanning beds, meaning minors under age 18. And so we would really like to see more of the United States, more of the states enacting similar legislation.
Well, and speaking of legislation, we know that this issue has come before the Montana legislature since as far back as 2009, and all of the bills have been defeated that would regulate the tanning beds for minors. If tanning beds were restricted or prohibited, what kind of difference would that make in the fight against cancer?
It would make a very big difference. And a recent study that came out from the CDC, or the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, had a wonderful conclusion, and they showed very clearly that if minors under age 18 were prevented from using tanning beds, that we would have significantly fewer melanoma cases in the future, and we would have a corresponding reduction in costs. So we have all the scientific evidence that we need to really encourage people not only to stay out of the tanning beds, but also to really enact legislation to do so. And I just encourage teens to stay away from tanning beds, even though we don't have a law there yet. And also I encourage people who maybe were touched personally by melanoma, or people whose family members have been touched by melanoma, contact your legislator and ask them to enact meaningful legislation that will really help to keep teens out of tanning beds.
Awesome. Thanks for the great information, Dr. Kutsch. Our next guest today is Barb Flynn. Barb understands the importance of being vigilant about regular skin checks. So Barb, tell us about what precipitated your first visit to a dermatologist.
Well, I was reading an article about skin cancer, and it made me think about some freckles that started out as freckles but continued to grow and were getting darker and darker. And I also had a small freckle on my thigh that looked a little different than the other freckles. So I did make an appointment with my dermatologist, and I had to go back to have the one on my thigh removed, and it was quite an extensive removal. It was about 2 inches long, half an inch wide, and very deep, and it was cancerous, the portion he took out. The ugly freckles, they were seborrheic keratoses, more ugly than dangerous. I still have those checked out. They still grow, and I still have other parts removed.
So that really set your stage for getting to the dermatologist. How often do you see your dermatologist?
I have a standing annual appointment with my dermatologist. I don't believe I've missed an appointment in 30 years. I've had many abnormal growths removed. I've had more than a dozen precancerous patches removed. I just keep going on.
Well, and that's awesome. But I'm guessing you didn't start that when you were young. When did you first, were you a sun seeker when you were a young person?
No, I wasn't a sun seeker. I knew I burned easily, so I didn't invite more sunburns. Not like my girlfriends. They were sunbathing constantly, slathering baby oil, trying to get that perfect tan, sunbathing every day. However, I was pretty much an athlete, and I was outside most days during the summer and other good weather, so I had an opportunity to visit the sun.
So just very quickly, could you tell us what advice you would give to our viewers who also might be in the same position that you're in?
If you see something abnormal, go find a dermatologist, make an appointment. It's my experience that they want to get you in, they want to see you quickly, and melanoma is nothing to even play with. Just go in, have it taken care of.
Thanks. Great advice, Barb. I want to thank today's guests and hope that you at home have learned how to protect your skin so that it will last you a lifetime. Until next week, stay fit, stay well, and stay healthy for life with Healthy Living for Life. See you next week.
Healthy Living for Life is brought to you by Mountain Pacific Quality Health. We'd love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for future programs, visit our website at mpqhf.org or call us at 406-443-4020. You can also catch us on YouTube by visiting our website and clicking on the YouTube icon. Special thanks to Fire Tower Coffee House and Roasters. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions.